Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sophia Wardell, and today we have a very special guest, Grammy-winning songwriter Randy Thomas. As a Grammy-winning songwriter and member of the Sweet Comfort Band and Allies, Randy co-wrote timeless hits like Butterfly Kisses. Randy is also the author of Song Story, where he shares his knowledge about songwriting, including his best tips throughout the book. Thanks for joining us today, Randy.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, and we are so looking forward today to discussing the process of songwriting with you. What are the stages of songwriting?
There can be different ways to approach it. I'll give you one example would be I once heard of a songwriter who went to bookstores and he would go down an aisle and just look at book titles and he would write down book titles. Not a bad idea. Of
No.
course, you've got someone else's title, but you might go by the steamy novels, and they would say, Forbidden Love or, whatever these titles are. And so an easy way to start a song is you look for this big concept, Of course, if you write a song called Gone with the Wind, people are going to know you stole that from a book. You go looking for that. Another common thing that's very overused is looking for a catchphrase, like in a New York minute. Okay, well, that's been done. And so there's a saying in a lot of songwriting books, they say, avoid cliches like the plague. Number one, I would say, you go fishing for those titles or fishing for those concepts. Once you have, and I would encourage songwriters, rather than go find a title and write a song, you write down or hunt up 20, 30 of them. Then you come back on another day and you look at a title and you think, I want to write this song. And if you start with your title, then, as much as you can generalize, it is easy to come up with a piece of music. And then it is usually more difficult for most of us than to put the lyrics in place. So I would say the process starts with that big idea or a title, and then roughing it out, and then refining. And then I think always being willing to rewrite. The weakness I see in amateur songwriters is they tend to think that their lyrics or their melodies are precious. And a professional songwriter will be, what's the word I'm looking for? They could be relentless and they could come back to their earlier work and just merciless is the word I'm looking for. You come back to a line that you wrote and you just cross it out without any mercy, and then you rewrite it. And you may come back and cross that out and write another one without mercy. And so you don't get attached to, anything other than, oh, I know that melody's working. Okay. And then you get the lyrics and you go, oh, those lyrics are working, except for this one word. And then you may change one word. And it could be the difference between your song being mediocre or good.
And when you're writing the melody and the lyrics, now you stated in our last interview that you write the melody typically first and then you come back in with the lyrics.
Yes. Although it is fun to break the rules, many of us start with the music and it's difficult then to flesh it out with the lyrics. But another great exercise for songwriters, I've met songwriters who, I can think of a lady in Mississippi, where no matter what music you sent to her, she could write lyrics. She just wrote lyrics every day. She was a lyricist.
Wow.
And I haven't ran into too many people that could only write music and couldn't come up with lyrics. But there are those who may be brilliant at writing music, and then their lyric ideas are really weak. So you develop those muscles, and I would say it is great for a songwriter to, if they've always done it the typical way that I did it, you start with the music. You could sit down with a co-writer's poetry, and I've done this, And it will amaze you if someone gives you a lyric and say, can you come up with music to this? It's a great feeling of accomplishment where you think, I've never done it before, so perhaps I can't do that. And then
Mm,
you do it. And so, one of the healthy things I think about songwriting is if you can only do it, with one process, there's always that danger of you're going to keep churning out similar songs. And if
mm,
you do it a different way, there's a greater chance you're going to wind up with this collection of songs where they don't all look like, uh, you know, they're they don't resemble each other too much.
right, right.
No, they look more diverse.
Hmm. And if you write a melody based on having the lyrics first to kind of build it around that, with the opposite, how would you start a melody? Do they just kind of come to you, or do you have an idea of this, what kind of song you're going to create, and then you start to build the melody, or, like a book title, or do you really just build melodies a lot of the time without having any lyrics in mind?
It's a funny thing that often songwriters have melodies and lyrics that sort of come to them. And also, every songwriter will tell you that you may be driving down the street and you look at a bulletin board, or whatever you call it, out on the freeway, the those giant billboards. You'll see a billboard. I think I saw a billboard once that said something like "above all else,"
Mhm.
and I thought, no, that's a song title.
Mm,
But the reason I say when you borrow something from a book or a movie or whatever, then you run into, that you've stolen it to begin with. And the other thing we run into as musicians, you'll hear two songwriters, someone will play a piece of music and he'll say, "Did I steal that from somewhere?" And if your co-writer says, "Oh yeah, that's too much like such and such song. That's a song that's familiar, that's floating around there," and you say, "Okay, well that's not going to work." I had read that Paul McCartney woke up with this music and it came to him so completely that he thought he must have stolen it. So he went around singing it for everyone. And he sang the lyric "scrambled eggs." And that same song, he thought, I must have stolen it from somewhere. But everyone said, no, I've never heard that music before.
huh.
And that's the song that turned out to be "Yesterday,"
Wow,
which is much better than "scrambled eggs."
that's
He turned
really
out
funny.
to be "Yesterday." Um, so there's another great example of he started with music, he checks to make sure he didn't steal it, and he rewrote his lyric.
And on the note of rewriting, how does that exactly work? What does the time frame look like, and how much, maybe percentage wise, of your song do you typically change in the rewriting process?
I think you can't quantify that.
Hmm.
That is like, as a record producer, often people will say, "When is your record going to be finished?" And I've often heard producers say, and I've been a record producer. Here's the phrase that we say: "It's finished when it's finished." So you will hear about these fantastic songs that someone will say, "I wrote that in 20 minutes." But I think what is more common when someone is, uh, you know, there are those songs that we sweat over and we labor over, where if someone said, "This has to be done in 3 days," then you're just not going to make the song as good as it could be. So you
Right.
have to say, "It's finished when it's finished."
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. Okay. It's a creative process.
Yeah. Oh, can
Yeah.
I tell you an exception to that?
Sure.
Uh, I thought of stealing this idea from um, a writer friend of mine. There's a very successful songwriter, and I was watching him. He was performing with Billy Dean, and I'm not going to say his name because I forgot it, but he performed a song, and everybody applauds. That's his big hit song. And then after he performed his song, he did it again with another set of lyrics, with joke lyrics, and he parodied his own song. And I thought, how
Wow.
brilliant is that? That you write your song, and then you write joke lyrics that make people laugh at it, And so that's another common thing. In one of the first bands I was in, Sweet Comfort Band, we had a song called Golden Ages. Well, back behind the scenes, I started parodying, the song that the singer wrote, Golden Ages, started singing Golden Arches. And, so that's an example of, and looking back, we should have done that in front of an audience, because after a song becomes familiar, and then you as the writer, you write a parody version. I think that's brilliant.
That is, and that's a serious gift to be able to
Mhm.
do that. Yeah. And then you get two songs out of one melody, which is kind of nice.
That's right. And it shows that, there's an interesting process that there are occasions where this is very rare, but sometimes if you have a song that, well, I'll tell you what's really common in Nashville is you write a song, you show it to everybody, and then someone comes back to you and says, so and so will record your song if you rewrite this one line they don't like. So
Oh,
you have to rewrite something that they don't like. Or another example is Bob Carlisle and myself, we wrote a song, and Dolly Parton said she wanted to record it. Well, it was written from a guy point of view. So we took, all the he and her, and it became he and him. And you just do a subtle rewrite in order for a female to sing it rather than a male.
right. That's interesting. And on a last note, I want to just get a few tips from you if a songwriter is going through writer's block.
A change of venue is great for writer's block. A lot of times writers will say, my guess is if a writer were to sit down at the same piano in the same room, and he's got the same brand of paper and he's got a pen, or whatever his computer is, whatever his normal thing is, I would say, for instance, let's say someone writes with a keyboard and a computer. You would be surprised at how, if you said, what if you go out on the porch and you take a guitar and a piece of paper? Well, that's not how I do it. Yes, but it might end your writer's block because you're always doing it the same way.
Right.
It's very, I am primarily a guitar player. A lot of times, if I sit down on the piano, I feel like, well, now I've just become an idiot. I can't play piano very well. And that limitation could cause you to write a song where you realize, okay, I can't fall into my familiar chord patterns because I'm not much of a piano player. You will write a different song. So
Right.
I think that's an easy way around writer's block is change your venue, change where and how you do it.
Well, thank you, Randy. That was great insight on the process of songwriting.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into today's interview with Grammy-winning songwriter Randy Thomas. Be sure to check out our website for more videos. Wishing you all a fulfilling and successful writing journey.